Ah, Christmas, the most wonderful time of the year, or so the song says. My name is Rob Barrett, you're watching Cooking for Dads. Today we're going to make my favorite Christmas meal, prime rib. Come on, I'll show you what to get. We're here at our butcher shop, we're going to buy our prime rib roast. When we buy a prime rib, what should we look for?
You're looking for, the boneless prime rib would be easiest to work with. Something with a little bit of marbling and a pound per person.
What are these different grades of meat?
The grades of meat, the best you can buy is prime. The next would be choice and then select. And the difference between them is the amount of marbling in the prime that breaks down when you cook the product versus the choice that has a little less marbling in it. So the flavor is still going to be very, very good, but the tenderness and the bite is going to be a lot better in the prime.
What are the strings for?
The strings are for to hold the roast in its form so it stays round. Otherwise it will puff up and get a little shorter, so it keeps it a little bit nicer for your serving.
Can I cook it with the strings on?
You can cook it with the strings on, and when it's done you just cut the strings and then carve crust.
What part of the cow does the prime rib come from?
The rib part comes from the middle of the back up on top, and when you're looking for meat of any kind, the best cuts are the parts of the animal that are used the least. The muscles that are used the least are usually the softest.
All right, we've got our meat. Let's get the rest of our stuff. Hey, do we have any mayonnaise? Okay, thanks. Check, you may have some at home, otherwise buy some mayonnaise. Get 1 bottle of Worcestershire sauce. Say that 10 times fast. Get some prepared horseradish. It's time to grow up salt-wise. Get some coarse kosher salt. It's really great. As with all these things, if you have them at home, you don't need to get them. But if you don't have sour cream, get some. Viewer mail. Before we get started today, I want to do some viewer mail. Dave from Milwaukee, Wisconsin writes, Rob, I wanted to make your cheesy chicken, but in my fridge all I have is mayonnaise and frozen orange juice. Is that enough or should I go to the store? Dave, you're from Milwaukee. That's plenty. Cook away. Send all relevant questions to rob@cookingfordads.net. Send it in. But seriously, this is our stuff for our prime rib. We are going to use one thing that you may not have that you'll need to get, and that is a meat thermometer. When you cook a piece of meat this big, it's really hard to tell by poking at it, and you don't really want to cut into it, so you need to get a meat thermometer or a candy thermometer. The difference is the meat thermometer, you stick into it and you can leave it. You can kind of watch it throughout the cooking. The candy thermometer you stick in, it reads it right away. You got to pull it out. You can't leave this in the whole time. So either one is fine, but you'll need to get one of those to do a good prime rib. Okay, today we're going to roast our prime rib. It's going to take about an hour and a half, depending on how big yours is. We are also going to make a wonderful horseradish sauce. First thing we're going to do is wash it. Now that we've washed it, we're going to pat it dry with paper towels, like so. I'm using a roasting pan. It's got a double layer. If you want to even buy a disposable pan, those will work just as well. Next, we're going to melt some butter, coat the whole thing, and then cover the entire thing with kosher salt. Get a basting brush or any kind of brush. You can even use a paper towel if you want, and just coat the entire thing with butter, bottom and top. Okay, next we're going to take our kosher salt. You can use your normal Morton's if you want, but kosher salt just is so much better. I can't even tell you. I'm going to start with the bottom side first. I'm going to just layer it with salt. I'm going to do the sides. When you're doing this, don't be stingy. Put lots on. It doesn't season it as much as it kind of seals it up. Seals the juices in. All right. Our roast is pretty much ready to go, just like this. So that's how we're going to cook it to keep it simple. But if you go online, you can find recipes for brown sugar coatings or rubs or garlic that you stick in or butter slabs that you slide in. There's a whole bunch of different ways of cooking it. I'm going to keep it simple because I think the meat is just really good the way it is. I'm going to preheat the oven to 450, cook it at 450 for 10 minutes, and then lower to 325. I'm not going to put the meat in until it's preheated, until the oven reaches 450. And then we're going to cook it 20 minutes basically for every pound. Okay, make sure the fat side is up. It's going in the oven, 450 for 10 minutes. While that's cooking, we're going to make a really yummy sauce for the meat. It's a horseradish sauce, so we're going to start with that. Basically, just get your normal spoon, get 1 spoonful of horseradish. Rinse off your spoon, 1 spoonful of sour cream. Rinse off your spoon, 2 spoonfuls of mayonnaise. The bigger the spoon, the more sauce you get. Finally, just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, maybe about half a spoon. Then stir it up. Your hotness level depends on how much horseradish you put in it. But this 1 spoonful of this, 1 spoonful of that, 2 spoonfuls of this, it's a nice level. And it's really good with prime rib. Okay, our 10 minutes is up. Can you hear that sizzle? What it did is sealed in the juices, and now we're going to turn it down to 325, let it cook for a while. 20 minutes for every pound, that's 120 minutes for this. This is 6 pounds. But I'm going to check it early with that thermometer because you don't want to overcook it. Remember, you can always cook it more, you can't cook it less. All right, our thermometer says 120. We're going to pull it out because it'll raise another 5 degrees once it sits. Be very careful, it's hot. Put it down. That's the advantage of granite countertops. You can just put it right down. I'm going to put some foil over the top. Pull out my thermometer. Let it sit for at least 10 minutes. It brings the juices kind of back inside. But we should be ready to go. All right, here we go. Cutting into it. Ooh, that looks great. Make sure you cut these strings off. There we go. There's your prime rib. Here's a little bit of our horseradish sauce on the side. Christmas time. The most wonderful time of the year. It works great with the pea pods and the potatoes from the cheesy chicken recipe, so watch that if you want to fix those. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year everyone. I'm Rob Barrett, you're watching Cooking for Dads. Cook well, it's worth it.